Good morning to you all, my friends. This is episode 2 of officially um, 10 minutes with Tara. So I'm going to try really hard to keep it at 10 minutes, and just want to share with you a little bit the devotionals that we've written for our T-shirt of the month club. We thought maybe if we went through one a week and we went over some of the verses and some of the inspiration. We talked last week about the original inspiration, which was "I'm adopted" from Romans 8:15. So if you want to catch that on YouTube, or there is our live videos are saved in a section on Facebook now. So today is sorry, Facebook's yelling at me about something, so I'm just hoping that we have enough internet, and whatever FPS is, it's gonna sort itself out. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you, and we're going to see where this takes us. Our first official month, like I said, we did the adoption t-shirts just for fun because we were practicing, and I knew I was trying to figure out how I could actually make this T-shirt of the month club happen. This We Are the Village was our first official signed up and paid for month. So as a business owner and as a person, just a normal, regular person stepping out into the business world, I mean, we've done auto body for 15, 20 years, but starting a T-shirt club, what did I know about designing? What do I know about verses? What do I know about any of those things? And so it was really nerve-wracking because I'm like, I knew it's what God told me to do, and I knew it's what I should do, but then watching the results sometimes is really hard, and wanting to do it right and do all the things. So I was really stepping out here, and this was the first devotional I wrote that went along with it. Let me just grab the village. See my James 1:27 right there? So we went ahead and started this first month and just did a launch and asked anybody if they wanted to come on board. And I think we had maybe it was 9, but probably 12 to 15 people that first month. And I was hand making the shirts at that time. So it was really so much unknown. And I think I explained on Tuesday, when we did that super long special edition of Tuesdays with Tara, when we went through all these t-shirts from memory lane, the day we were in the courthouse, watched all the kids' teachers and things like that, and they went ahead and they joined us. You know, they were there for adoption day. Their friends were there, our kids' friends, that we asked them if they wanted to bring, for our biological kids, if they wanted to bring friends. And some came, so they each had someone to go through it with. And it was just powerful to see. And Mandy was walking alongside me, and she just said, "Oh, I forgot my t-shirt." You know, because we had on walls ones. I had made some cute ones for our family because I thought it would be a little awkward. I realized the "I'm adopted" ones that I had imagined for church service, they're not going to work in the courthouse because the judge probably going to be like, "Wait, who's adopted? What?" And I didn't think, going on a dissertation of Romans 8:15 during that time was maybe my best laid plan. So we made just family ones, just black and white, and did something with walls down the middle and all the words for our family. So that was so cute. But our people, we threw it together so fast. Mandy has crooked. She's going to make a t-shirt, and she went, "Oh, I forgot I was going to do We Are the Village t-shirt." And I just looked around at all those people, and I knew, we're doing that. Every one of us is part of a village, or should be. So that's where April's shirt, "We Are the Village," totally came from, and it was James 1:27. So let me just dive in here. Literally, James 1:27 says, "Pure religion and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world." James 1:27. And there's so much there in that verse. We have some friends that literally have a nonprofit that they've called 127 Place. And it's powerful, the work that they do. They take care of the widows and the orphans. And the way Ray says it is, if you're so busy doing what you're supposed to be doing, like keeping yourself unspotted from the world, that's going to take all your time. So if you're following this verse and you're literally pursuing what God has for you, you're not going to have time to do anything else. So it was just really interesting way to look at it, and I so appreciated that. So this is what I wrote for the verse, and this was about a year and a half ago. This was March of last year. I wrote, before we got into foster care, I kind of sort of knew what the Bible said about widows and orphans. I kind of sort of knew what it meant to love your neighbor and all the things. My parents had raised us to always look to help others, and their example of giving when I was growing up locked in my mind and heart with a forever impact. When we got deep into the hard things that foster care brought, like grief, trauma, triggers, and pain, I had to dig deeper into God's Word to find something legit to hold on to, a promise that I could tangibly see for myself. When I found James 1:27, I knew I had found something to carry me through. We may not all be called to actually bring a child into our homes or care for an elderly parent within our four walls, but there are always ways to care for those who are hurting. We only need to ask the Lord what our part to play is. And I think that was the beginning of everyone can do something, where we really understand, foster care and having a child live in your home and going through all the things is not an option, not a feasible option for a lot of us, and that is okay. We don't need more foster parents per se. We need more support for those that are going through. And as far as even going through foster care, I bet you all can name off the top of your head a handful of children, of families that that are fatherless, orphans in the sense that their parents are absent-minded. Whether they're in the system or not is not the issue. It's where are they at spiritually, physically, the impact that you can have on those kids and those families just by doing everyday life with them, offering a hand, being there for them. It literally changes lives. So it looks different for everybody. It doesn't have to be foster care and adoption, and it doesn't have to be legit like a fatherless child. The kids in the foster care system, most of them do have a biological father. But for those that do, if they are in the system, if they're not working towards reunification for their kids, then they're not fulfilling the role of a father in their lives, and that's where the gap is, and that's where we need to stand in the gap and make up the hedge. So for me, when it was super hard to go through all that, and I had my parents' example, they would invite anyone in their home, and everybody was always welcome, and extra people showing up meant extra fun. My mom just cooked like crazy, and Dad grilled whatever, and they used their home and opened it up to other people. So to me, it was just second nature, and that's fun. Like even when Tim and I were just first married, I'm cooking for an army, and I don't even know why. It's just because it's what I always saw that was done. And so that was the path that we took, and here now we have these kids in our home, and it got hard. And it was time for me to find out what God had for me. I needed a biblical I needed a verse to hold on to, and that's where James 1:27 came into play. And when I saw all those people surround us in the courtroom that day, and they were there for the photos, and I knew they had played a part in our kids' lives and our lives. Some of them had even, offered to take. Shiloh was having a really hard time with the adjustment, and so he went on afternoon play dates with one of our teacher friends. I mean, he was changed forever because of it. He literally got a breath. All they did was offer to bring him home, after school, or he got to play over there once a week for a few weeks. And it was just enough to break through in that kindness that got us through. So, we all have parts that we can play and things that we can do. And it just broke my heart when I would see my own kids go through it as we're like living out the gospel. And then when I saw James literally command us to do those things, it gave me that fuel, that strength to be like, okay, it's hard, but it's biblical. It's hard, but it's good. It's hard, but God's in it. And that was enough for me to be able to keep going through the next minute. So the prayer that I had that day, I just wrote, Lord, sometimes it seems like there is so much pain and suffering in the world that nothing I could do could possibly make a difference. Help me to remember that you are in charge and that you only require simple obedience, that you don't need us to carry out your plan and purpose, but you love us enough to use us. Help me to know how you want me to play my part, and thank you for letting me change my corner of the world as I listen to your word and your still small voice. Just such an important reminder that, listening to that still small voice, that's all we have to do. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You don't have to be a superhero and force yourself into foster care or adopting a child if you know darn well that's not your calling, that's not your cup of tea. But maybe there is, a foster family, an adoptive family. Maybe your next door neighbors are literally going through something right now and they're not flagged in the system, but maybe they are fatherless. Maybe they are a widow. And maybe that's your calling. Bring them dinner. Check in on them. Send them a message. I mean, there's just so many ways you can help. Message me if you want to talk about any of that, or let me know what your situations are, and maybe we can come up with something. I believe God will just speak to you, and He's good like that. He's faithful like that. So the action of the month that I challenged our friends and our T-shirt club family, I asked this month, help me to see the need in the widows and orphans around me. Give me a practical way to bless them and help me commit to praying for them for the month, whether they ever know it or not. There's a space for notes on the bottom. You can jot down, I challenge you to write a note in your phone, or if you're, grabbing a journal and going through all this, right near James 1:27, write it down. Who comes to mind when you think of somebody who needs help? Who comes to mind when you think of a widow and an orphan? Who comes to mind when you think of the fatherless? And ask the Lord for a way to bless them. Ask the Lord for a way to be present and tangible in their life. I guarantee it'll mean the world to them. And so that's my 10 minutes for today, just within a couple minutes of going over. And I'm here if you have any questions. I'm praying that every one of you will find your purpose in what God has for you, and the things that He wants to share with you, and the ways that He wants to use you. So many of us think that it has to be this big, crazy, high and lofty goal, but the truth is it's right in front of us. That's where we change the world, and that's where it starts, and that's where somebody struggling with depression or suicide, you don't know, you can't see it, but that one random act of kindness can literally get them through the day. It can break through that cloud, that haze, that tough thing, and change their lives. And that's how we do it, guys. One person at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one act of obedience at a time. You might think it's so small and so foolish and couldn't possibly make a difference, but I challenge you to give in to that still small voice. The devil doesn't send us ideas of doing kind things for other people. Let me just clarify. If you ever thought that, you have an idea for somebody and you're like, well, no, that probably won't help, or no, that probably won't do anything. Let me just clarify. It's not a trick from the devil. So you can just go ahead and listen to that still small voice, and you can just go ahead and do that small random act of kindness. And I challenge you in the best way. Like, watch and see what happens. Watch and see how you change somebody's life. Because we are the village. We just have to do the work. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So try that one still small voice, random act of obedience, and watch what happens. And maybe you won't see until the other side of heaven exactly what it did for somebody that day, but that's not the point. The point is you lived out the Word of God for today. So if I can encourage you in any way, shape, or form, it would be to do that. Good morning, Lacey. I think you're the best. One random act of kindness at a time, right? One person at a time. So we are the village, and we get to decide what kind of village we are. So let's be the James 127 kind of village. And I will see you next week on 10 Minutes with Tara. And I will see you Tuesday. Do you remember Tuesday? We're going to be cutting some t-shirts, God willing. I'm going to put my mom on the spot. She hates attention. And we're going to do a live where we're cutting my holiday t-shirts so the neck does not irritate my mother, so she can breathe properly when she looks at my neck on my t-shirt. So I can't wait to see you then, and have a great day.